Call this meeting in order. All stand, face the flag for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Could someone shut that back door?
Christian probably would if you asked him.
Roll call. Britton Looper.
Present.
R.J. Duncan.
Here.
Tim Yoakum is present. Let's start off with approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
There
We
is
have-
one exception though.
Yeah, we have one exception. We're going to hold out, and John said it'd be okay to do that, and we'll bring it up the next meeting.
Okay, what are we holding off the claims?
Yeah, one of them.
I mean, which claim are we holding out?
This one for Eric Smith on the bridge, because I got to meet with him to inspect it.
We can't hear you.
Is it on? Okay. Eric Smith did a bridge job, and I haven't inspected it yet,
Okay.
and there ain't nothing wrong with it. I just need to get with him tomorrow. And so I don't want to hold him up either, but I do need to inspect that before we do that. That's the only one. Other than that, got a,
I'll make a motion to approve the claims. I guess with the understanding that we're withholding the claim for Eric Smith and Sons
Yeah.
Excavating.
I haven't got down to inspect it yet.
Okay, pending your inspection.
Yeah.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approval of payroll.
Make a motion to approve payroll.
Second motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Public comment? Public comment, anyone? We will have another public comment also at the end also. So. Okay, moving on with the resolution 2022-03, the IOCRA grant project. HWC invoice.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is our actual final public hearing for the Ochre grant. The commissioners received a federal grant from the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs. It is federal dollars that come from Housing and Urban Development, trickles down to the state. Lieutenant Governor's office manages and disperses those. So you guys were awarded on February 3rd of 2020 a $50,000 grant from Ochre to complete a countywide comprehensive plan. The grant agreement was signed and executed on March the 9th of 2020. Total project cost was $57,500, in which the county received a $50,000 grant for the planning, and $7,500 was for program administration, which was paid by the VCEDC. Our expiration date on this grant is April the 30th of 22, so we are under strict timeline right now. That's why we're holding the final public hearing tonight. Jonathan Smith from HWC, he will actually present the plan to you this evening. There's also other public hearings that have been going on all throughout the county as well. And then on your March 15th meeting, we're going to need you to pass the resolution approving the plan, pass the invoice for HWC Engineering, which is the final $20,000 of their $50,000 fee. Also sign the closeout forms 1 and 2, because I have to have the money drawn down, the public hearing, everything done before April 30th. So, do you have any questions on the process or the grant at all? Okay, so at this time I'll go ahead and turn it over to Jonathan Smith.
All right. All right, thank you. As Christy mentioned, I'm Jonathan Smith. I'm a senior project manager on this project from HWC Engineering out of Indianapolis. And I'm going to go ahead and just give you guys an overview. Some people probably heard this that were at the town hall meetings, but I'll try to keep it as brief as I can, but I'll also want to go through everything that we did for the town halls. All right, so I'll have you flip to the next page. Yep. So on our agenda today, I have 8 things here that I want to talk about. First being what a comprehensive plan is, what will this plan be used for, why are we doing this plan now, where have we been, and then the public input received to date. And then I'm going to go through the different topics of the plan itself, that being the chapters that are throughout the plan. And then for each topic, I'm going to go through the goals for each of those. And then at the end, I'll go through next steps, which Christy kind of already talked about. All right, so what a comprehensive plan is. A comprehensive plan is an official policy document that describes a community's vision. The comprehensive plan itself sets goals for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. As Christy mentioned, this is a plan that was funded by Okra. And they fund similar projects throughout the state, just like this. All right, so what will this plan be used for? It'll be used by you guys to help you guide all future projects throughout the county. It'll also help you get funding on those projects as well. All right, so why are we doing this now? The comprehensive plan is just outdated. It's from 2002. We have a lot of things that's happened since 2002, and we want to make sure those are reflected in the plan. So that's kind of why we're here now. Also, it allows you to receive funding, kind of like I said previously. And typically, a comprehensive plan should be updated every 5 years. So that's kind of where we're at right now. All right, so as Christy mentioned, we did kick this project off in 2020. And we started making some headwind at the beginning, but of course, as we know, COVID hit and we had a lot of issues kind of getting people's input, but we were able to get through the initial stages. We did have some initial public engagement in 2020, but we only received 237 responses. So we wanted to kind of reiterate that. So at the end of last year, we did that, and we were able to almost get 3 times that many, so 647 responses, which is pretty awesome. During that time, between 2020 and now, we also went through a pretty extensive stakeholder process, as well as some steering committee processes. And then, sorry, it's hot in here. All right. So from October of 2020 to December of 2021, we did some extensive analysis, as well as some various. So we also were able to get this project out to Okra to meet the initial deadline back in January of 2021. So from then on till now, we've done a lot of work to get the project up to a place where we all feel that it's very good, including some workshops, some town hall meetings that were held the past couple weeks, and now we're here at the adoption phase. And as Christy mentioned, the 15th of this month is when we're kind of looking at that. All right, so what's that? No, you're fine. I'll just skip to that. That's not a problem. All right, so then the Okra plan itself, the requirements for the grant require certain chapters and topics to be discussed. Those include land use, placemaking, housing, agriculture, parks and rec, and hazard mitigation. All the ones that are included up here on the screen here. Okay. So for the first chapter, and how I'm going to go through each one of these, I'm going to go through the goals that we talked about, as well as some of the key public input. So you kind of see that in the little bubble there with the little megaphone. So some of the goals or the actual goals for the land use include update the county zoning and subdivision ordinances, promote the growth opportunity areas recommended in this plan. Those are actually identified on the map there, starting at the top to the bottom. I-74, the RISE, and then the industrial area just north of Clinton. Okay. And then the last goal for the land use chapter was plan for the development and utilization of alternative energy. Okay. And then some of the key public input that we received for that chapter was local grocery access is limited, opportunities for kids are needed throughout the year, housing is needed all over the county, employment centers are needed throughout the county, and then the distance between the county's population centers hinder the accessibility to resources and amenities. Okay. For the government and fiscal capacity chapter, our goals are increase public participation and engagement, and then expand local and regional collaboration. Some of the key public input for that were communication among county officials could be improved, and then expand the county's external messaging system. Okay. Public facilities and services. Our goals were to complete a feasibility study for the infrastructure expansion to support the growth opportunity areas. So what that means is just prepare for future expansion and development in those areas by providing the proper infrastructure. All right, and then expand broadband facilities throughout the county. So the map that's actually on the plan there kind of shows what's throughout the county itself, whether it's wired-based or wireless coverage, and I think we'll not open that up for debate whether that's true or not. But those are all based off of state-provided information and details for that. So, all right. Placemaking. The goals for placemaking are develop a placemaking strategy for Vermilion County, expand upon existing community activities and events, and then develop a county-wide gateway and wayfinding program. So the map also on the right, that kind of identifies what we're kind of talking about for gateway and wayfinding program. And the dots represent the different areas throughout the county where we kind of see those happening, providing that kind of gateway into the county and into the different communities throughout the county. Some of the key public input from this chapter were there needs to be more for kids to do, echoing other things that were talked about previously to now. And then need to develop more community pride. And I think that was just a handful of people that made that go up to the front. Economic development. The goals were develop an economic development plan for the I-74 State Road 63 interchange, which is at the north part of the county. Encourage entrepreneurship in the county. I know there's a program that's out there that we wanted to highlight in the plan that actually kind of shows some of the opportunities there are for small businesses to kind of grow within the county itself. All right, and then the next goal is to support development at Vermilion Rise, the blue area right in the middle. And then increase educational attainment to ensure a skilled workforce. And then support the development of the TIF district on State Road 63 north of Clinton and all future TIF districts in the county. And I know this is something that's kind of been expanding and growing within the county, and it's something that we want to capture as a goal within the plan. Some key public input that came out of this, target industries based on the county's strengths. Keep workforce in Vermilion County. There was a statistic of a lot of people moving, or not moving, but leaving the county for jobs and then coming back to their house at night. So the idea was to kind of capture that workforce by potentially skilling them up, giving them an opportunity at different employment options throughout the county. And then the last key public input was collaborate with high schools to focus workforce development on students. Okay. And then housing, strategically expand and make housing options available, or make more housing options available. And then continue the blight elimination and revitalization program in strategic areas by coordinating efforts already in progress. Okay. So some of the key housing areas that we kind of talked about are kind of what you would imagine in the population centers throughout the town or throughout the county. Some of the key public input we heard was we need more affordable apartment options, more senior housing, and then something needs to be done with the blighted properties throughout the county. So I think that just comes back to some of the messaging and what you guys are already doing. All right. Transportation, develop a prioritized plan for county roadway repairs and updates. So the map on the right kind of identifies what types of roads are eligible for funding. That kind of gives you kind of a starting point, but I think it comes down to coordinating with the county and the state level and just making sure your plan and prioritizations are met. What is good to hear is through public feedback is most people think major thoroughfares are in good condition, which you might question that come April, May, once we realize that the weather's made a bunch of potholes. And then enhance gateways into the county. So that's kind of echoing some of the placemaking stuff with the wayfinding. All right, so agriculture, strengthen and preserve Vermilion County's agricultural land and prepare the next generation of farmers for the future. So on the map on the right, we were kind of toying with the idea of do we or do we not show the prime farmland on here, all right? What's really awesome is Vermilion County has some really great prime farmland, but there's also a ton of other land that's being used for farming. So we want to kind of highlight that and kind of show the juxtaposition of that. So that's kind of what that map represents. All right. So some of the key public input for that was maintain the rural character of the county and preserve valuable farmland. Okay. And then provide more agricultural related learning opportunities and training. Okay. All right, so natural resources. Utilize the shared resource of the Wabash River as a connecting element throughout the county. So that's kind of potentially playing a little bit on that wayfinding thing, potentially have some sort of signage, more river access within the county itself. I know there's some that are across the borders and vice versa that aren't necessarily within the county. And then support the preservation of woodland and natural resources throughout the county. As you can kind of see, there's a lot of green. You guys have a lot of natural resources from that standpoint, a lot of woodland, a lot of opportunities. Just within the Rise, there's a lot of areas where there's some potential for some park and recreation type of activities. And we'll get to that in the next chapter. All right, so some of the key public input on that was the Wabash River is an underutilized asset. And then protecting the county's natural resources is very important. All right. So this one's a lengthy one. We have 6 goals under Parks and Recreation. The first one is expand the county-wide park system to increase access to outdoor recreation. Okay. Increase marketing and visibility for county parks and recreation opportunities. Develop recreation sites at Vermilion Rise and make them available for public use. There's, like I said, there's a lot of wooded areas and natural areas that are really awesome within that space. We're working toward that right now. Actively participate in ongoing efforts to plan and develop countywide trail networks. The Trail Alliance has done a really great job at that. There's a trail that's just recently opened that's great. There's a lot of things happening from that regard. Add more county dog parks. I know there's one in Clinton, and I think a lot of people are echoing the same idea of safe places to bring their dogs. I know there's a lot of open land, but some people can't trust their dog off leash. So key public input, more outdoor spaces needed throughout the county, and then more bicycle and pedestrian trails and routes. Okay. Historical and archaeological resources. The goal for that one was develop additional opportunities for the community to learn and celebrate the history, traditions, and heritage of those in the county. There are 8 national registered historic places throughout the county, as well as a handful of historic districts throughout the county as well that I think some people might not be aware of. So kind of doing that. All right. And then the last chapter is hazard mitigation. There's one goal in that one. There wasn't a lot of feedback regarding that, as you can see. But it's pretty simple. Keep the county's emergency response plan current. So that's just making sure we're just up to date. Things like COVID, those type of things, just being aware of what might be next. So some of our next steps. Today, we're here for the public hearing. I know APC wanted to get back together and decide on the recommendation. And then on the 15th, I know that the commissioners are going to be ready for adopting the plan. Any questions?
I don't have any.
Good.
And Brenda, I will be doing the minutes, so I'll get that sent over to you tomorrow. Okay.
This is an opportunity for public comment on the
Yep.
record. That's what this is for. It's not for the commissioners to listen to necessarily, but. So if you do have comments, or if you have not stated your comments previously, please do so. You'll still have an opportunity, I guess, before the 15th to submit it in writing if you wish, or to, I guess, call HWC to log any issues that you may have, or any statements that you want to make.
We probably need it before the 10th.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true.
And we have worked closely with Jonathan, and all the feedback we've gotten, we've passed it on to him, and thanks for getting updated.
Yeah, there's copies of both my presentation here, as well as the full plan itself. It's available for anyone to look at, and I think Penny has some flyers that if you just want to scan it on your phone, you can do that as well. So there's various opportunities that you can take a look at it and get back with us, whatever.
And it's been on
Yeah.
the two libraries and at the author's office and my office as well, for anybody that wanted to come view a hard copy.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on. It's HWC invoice approval. Are we dealing with that tonight, or?
I think it's 15th, isn't it?
15th.
Yes, so on the 15th, APC will give you guys a recommendation. We're hoping to adopt the plan, and then you guys will pass the resolution that night, that
Okay.
day. And then Brenda will send me everything, and then I will draw down the final amount of money from Okra, and then I've already got your closeout packet ready, so as soon as that money comes in, we have the check written, then I can close you guys out.
Okay, thank
And
you.
then I will, at the end of the project, I will give you a complete project file, it'll be paper, and I will mail that to you, and everything will be in order.
Really need you to come up here if you're speaking.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
But is this yours, Christie? Yes, thank you. So on the 15th, hopefully the APC gives a favorable recommendation for you guys to adopt the plan. If that happens, then you guys adopt the plan by resolution. Brenda, and then there's several papers that, Tim, you'll have to sign as well that I've sent way ahead of time for review. So we'll have you sign all that. She'll email all that to me the next day or that same day. And then I'll be able to draw down the last amount of grant funds to pay HWC. Once that hits and Brenda writes the check, then I can actually send your closeout packet in, and we should be good to go. Once Okra does the monitoring, which should take just a few days, a week, who knows, a month, I don't know their schedule, but then once it is officially closed out, then I will make a hard copy of everything, and I will mail it to you. My information will be on the top with my name, cell phone number, and email, so that when State Board of Accounts does audit you, if they have any questions, they can call me directly.
The final document will be available electronically also, correct?
The entire grant file?
No, the plan, the comprehensive plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can make it. So, well, we did provide a permanent link, like Flipbook. We can make an updated version of that. That's just for the adoption. So that could be one way that you guys can provide it. The other way is that you'll have an actual copy of your own, plus printed copies. The PDF copy that you'll have, you can do whatever you want with. If you want to host it on your website or whatever you want to do, that's fine as well.
And will you also provide them a digital copy so when they do like accomplish goals and things, they can like
Mhm.
update that as well?
Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I don't see, is anyone here for Birmingham Rise? I don't see no one tonight. That's fine. I don't see one over for Birmingham Trails either. New issues, I got a letter from the health department. I appreciate them sending them update. This is a COVID-19 update from Birmingham County Health Department. Total positive case for 2/1 is 22 to 2/25 of 22, a total 135. A total vaccinated are at 51.8%, and boosters at 19.5. Total deaths are at 72. The testing and vaccine sites are looking to scale down in the next few weeks as long as our positive cases continue to drop. We will evaluate the county's needs and set schedules needed. The Indiana Department of Health have notified the health department that we will need to keep the clinics open to the end of June 2022. That's from the health department.
Did it say on there how many people have been going to clinics since the last meeting or anything to that effect, or for the month?
It's positive. It says the total positive cases for the last month was 135.
I meant who are actually going for vaccinations or whatever that is at the different clinics that they've held. Is there anything on there about that?
You should have a copy of the last page. I think everything's trending down.
There isn't.
I think it's all trending down.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to ordinance 2022-05 closing courthouse.
Yes, we actually have two of these. First one's county ordinance number 2022-05, closing the courthouse. An ordinance closing the courthouse at 1 o'clock on February 17th until 10 a.m. on February 18th. I'd like to make a motion that we approve that by title only.
Second the motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
And then another county ordinance, 2022-06, an ordinance closing the courthouse at 3:30 on February 24th, 2022, due to inclement weather, just like the other ones. I'd like to make a motion to approve that by title only.
3 o'clock you mean, or 3:30?
I think it was 3 o'clock. I stand corrected. Thank you.
Second the motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, moving on. RGL Solutions contract, Doug Hess.
You skipped the 2020,
Okay.
2022-07.
Let's go ahead and let's go back, keep order here. Sorry about that. The commercial solar amendment. Keep on schedule here, we'll get, make any mistakes.
So you tabled it last, Penny Carpenter, Vermillion County zoning. Come on, Scott. This is Scott Vogel, the president of Area Plan.
I think Scott was trying to let you do it.
I know he
I don't
was.
think you wanted to get up.
AP stands for Area Penny
Stop that.
Commission.
Anywho, you guys tabled it last month, so we're just back to, I didn't hear from anybody with any questions or concerns, so we're back tonight to see, get it passed.
And the sooner the better. We do have solar people that are wanting to come in, meet with us, look at our ordinance, so the sooner we can get this taken care of, the better off we'll be.
And Scott, was this a unanimous from your
Yes.
APC board?
It was unanimous from APC board.
Both
Both of them passed in unanimous.
one of them was, we had one, well, I'd have to look at my minutes, one of them was not.
I'm pretty sure.
Was that passed unanimously on the solar?
Yes, it was.
Okay, what do I?
Somebody brought up something later, but it was passed unanimously
Okay.
at the meeting.
I would
And then
have to
somebody had a question
go back
later.
and look, but-
It passed unanimously.
Yeah, I've reviewed it since the last meeting, pending any other commissioners' concerns. I would make a motion to pass ordinance, an amendment to the commercial solar ordinance, amendment to the Vermillion County zoning ordinance, number 2022-15, ordinance number 2022-07.
If you have a question on the new thing, the reason we put the $50,000 in there is because we're gonna have to have a site engineer look at these plans, and you can eat up a lot of money right there.
We need to get past our motion first.
Excuse me.
I'll second it. Discussion?
That
Any
was your
discussion
comment?
on the 50,000 or just that?
The comment on the 50,000, why we put it in there, there's been people question that. If we do get a big solar project, there will be site plans. None of us are qualified to look at site plans. We will have to hire an engineer to look at that because we do not have a county engineer at this time. So you can eat up $30,000 right there, just having an engineer look at that. That's why we need to cover ourselves. Make sure we don't go in the hole on these projects.
Absolutely.
What are you, assuming that they come back for review or for some supplements to that at a later date to add on to the farm or to make changes within the farm, is there an additional fee to be charged for each submittal that comes forward after the initial reviews and approvals?
We haven't talked about that. We have not talked about that as a team, but I would say any improvements or add-ons would be a new permit, so it would probably be addressed at that time in a permit.
Would the fees be associated, would you be able to assign fees as to what it would be at that point, or does it need to be an ordinance?
It would need to be an ordinance, but
It
at
would
this
need to be,
point,
yeah.
it would be considered a new build. If they already have one and they're coming to add more to it. The way it stands today, it would be an entirely new build, but that's something we could look into.
Okay. The 300 feet and the 100 feet, so we're talking just about the fence being there back 100 or 300 feet only, and then the project, whatever the development for the project is further back than the fence line in some manner, right?
Right. The project will have a fence around it. Okay. The fence is what we're calling the outside perimeter. Will have to be 300 feet from a residence non-participating, 100 feet away from property line. So the fence is will be the actual measuring point.
And
then
nobody
there'll
had
be a shrubbery line between the property line, the residence, and the fence.
what's the reasoning to have a fence? I can see the solar farm being back further than that, but what's the reasoning to have a fence back and then the farm have to be further back than that?
They want their farm fenced in. That's part of the plan everywhere. Where they put the solar panels, they fence everything in. That's where the fence comes in. And then we requested, in residential places, we requested the buffer.
Mm-hmm. Was there some objections from people about being on the property line or closer than 100 feet?
Yes, we had the situation come up with companies wanting to go in at the rise, and we had people come and say, hey, this is going to be sitting really close to my house. This is what brought it to our attention, and we went back and kind of scoped everything out, put measurements up and looked at it that way, and come up with the new dimensions for setbacks.
And originally we'd started with a 500 feet setback, and we
Right.
did have solar companies at our meeting. We negotiated or talked it back and forth, and our reasonings versus their reasoning, and we just come to the mutual agreement of the 300 was
And that was the
workable.
primary driver for this amendment, if you will?
To protect the property owners?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The non-participating.
Mhm. I have no further questions.
I don't have any.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for working on this, and it's been a great job. What Jim's buried here, if you know what he said.
Here at the economic development's up next.
Yeah, economic development, Doug Hess.
What'd you do, lose it?
It's here,
Oh.
it's buried it.
That was the second reading on that, right?
Yeah, we read it the first one.
Doug Hess, Economic Development. TJ Collette with RJL Solutions. Inside, I believe everybody in their packet has received a contract or a proposal that I have been meeting with and talking with RJL Solutions about. And really, I want to highlight three things that we're proposing in this contract or proposal. Number one is for us to have some type of branding within Vermilion County. When you go to Terre Haute, you think of Vigo County, it's a level above. If you go to Bartholomew County, it's different by design. Du Bois County is Du Bois County pride, something that really identifies. And I think that's something that we're lacking here in Vermilion County, and I've wanted to work with RJL Solutions to try to develop something for us. Number 2 is the social media, something that we can get out and tell our story here in Vermilion County. Now, one thing I want to make clear is this is not necessarily for our own residents. Obviously, it will be, but we're also going to be talking to a mass media as well, whether it's regional, state. We're so close to Illinois, we'll be able to get that message out why they would want to develop or invest in Vermilion County, Indiana. And number 3 is lobbying, something I don't think that we have right now over in Indianapolis. When the Senate and representatives are in session, getting out and telling our story. Now, it is true that IEDA represents us, but they also have 34 different counties that they represent. And my question to them was, do you lead Vermilion County when you're out there talking with the different representatives? And I think when you're up against somebody like a Terre Haute, or Lafayette, or Indianapolis, Richmond, Bloomington, whoever makes that 34 county district, my guess is we're not at the top of the list when it comes to telling our story and making sure that we are being heard out there. And so that is why I'm a firm believer that we need to be out there talking to not only our representatives, because I think we can talk to our representatives when we need to, it's the other representatives that are also going to be voting on this. And if we're reading about it in the Tribune Star, the Indianapolis newspaper, I think it's too late. Those deals have already been done, and so we need to get ahead of the curve instead of behind and really tell our story and see what we can do to bring some movement here in Vermilion County. So that's really in a nutshell this proposal or this contract.
And if you don't have one, I have an extra one right here.
How many other counties do you represent?
Counties as a whole, 1.
Which is?
Davies. And I actually don't think, I can 100% tell you after this, but I don't think we lobby for them. We might do some relationship building outside of state legislation, but.
Would this also include anything with the RISE involvement here, or would it be just with economic, or is that something you'd bridge over?
The way I look at this is for the county, so this is for Vermilion County across the board. This is not just economic development, but this is for Vermilion County. So if, in theory, the city of Clinton calls me up and says, hey, we need to lobby because we have a great opportunity for XYZ, yeah, we're going to call because it's going to benefit us here at the county. So the RISE would be included in that, just like St. Bernice, Dana, anybody. As long as it's Vermilion County related, we're going to be fighting for them.
Yeah, and those priorities would be developed long before we have any conversations with legislators. So that type of stuff gets finalized way in advance.
The county was represented by RGL in the past year, 2 years ago, whatever it's been. What were some of the accomplishments that were derived from that?
Okay, yeah, so I am 8 months into my position with RJL Solutions, and leadership then was a little different than it is now. Our CEO is still the same, but her right-hand woman has since moved on. We have a full binder of some of the things. We hosted legislators to the Vermilion Rise. On top of that, we did some branding, not rebranding, but social media, print pieces, marketing stuff in general. It'd be very easy to show you, we have a very big folder of work that we've done that we can provide, but anything off the top of my head, no.
Sure. I read through the agreement here. I do have some, I guess, contractual issues. Most of it, what you present appears to be well in order, but I don't think I'm ready to approve the contract, if you will, at this point. Next meeting, maybe, if we could take a little time and discuss some of the indemnifications. It basically is some of the harder language that's in the proposal.
Yeah, of course, yeah, we can talk to you about some more.
I'm
Yeah.
primarily in favor of this. It's just some of the issues with the contractual issues. So.
Cool. Okay.
If you could provide what they've done in the past or something like that, it'd be helpful, I think.
Perfect, yeah, we can throw
Yeah.
something together for that next meeting.
Sure.
So, we'll table this.
Not table it, just continue it.
Yeah, that's fine. you guys need to review it some more.
Well, you dealt with this before, and
Yeah.
you've talked with them, you've
Yeah.
had more input on this.
Yeah, like I said, I have no issues with the contract. I think Doug's really wanted to hit the ground running with a lot of these things, and I don't want to stifle any of this potential, I don't want to say growth, but momentum Doug has trying to rebrand and do some things. Would there be a possibility that we could approve this tonight pending some contractual things that you would need to look
If you
at? Or,
want, that'd be fine with me if you want
and then you could
to
work
default to my opinion, or my,
because I mean, I don't have any issues with the contract. I don't know if Tim does either, but I know we've approved other things where you've reviewed them a couple of days and then you guys have worked that out, within a few days or, a week.
yeah, and if we can't come to resolution, then it can come back on the next meeting.
It can come
then
back on the
that'd be
next.
fine.
Would you have
Well, that's
any-
fine with me anyway.
Would you have any objection to that, Tim? I would make a motion to approve the RJL contract contingent on Mr. Luther's comments and conversations with RJL on some of the issues he has.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion? I was gonna see if you caught that or not. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you.
I didn't. Tell everybody.
Everybody else
laughed at
does.
it.
Property procurement, First Financial
Oh, there's a
Property.
thing there.
Britton's been doing a good job on that. I hope he has an update on it.
I'm sorry, what?
The First Financial property.
Oh, yeah. An offer was made last Friday, and this morning we have a counter offer to that, or this afternoon we did. It appears to be acceptable. There's the one major counter to the offer is that the purchase of the building would be contingent upon it not being used or sold as a financial institution or to another bank, if you will. So that was the only major change, I think, in the whole document. There was some language differences, and there were some things that the county requires that First Financial. I think John worked that out with the attorney for First Financial, and I believe that it's in a form ready to accept, subject to council funding, and then also we will need authorization to go forward to get the inspections, if you will, complete. This is not inspections for the offer, but they're inspections so that we can derive the costs that we are going to incur over and above what we'll be paying for the property for the inspections and for anything else that comes up, title work and other closing costs that are associated with that. That's still in the works of determining what those costs are. So if we're ready to do so, I'm ready to make a motion that we accept the offer from First Financial, the counter offer that is from First Financial, subject to council funding.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion. John, was there something else that needed to be included in that?
No, there's a statutory process that the council needs to follow. They'll kind of have the final portion of this where they get appraisals and set what the final price would be.
That's in the works now. We made inquiries, and I've got contacts for the appraisal. I believe that we have enough enough community members to do the relative inspections that we have, except for Radon. We'll hire that out. Lead-based paint we'll hire out. These aren't conditions to the purchase, but they're conditions that we need to know that we may have additional costs to go to the council with to make sure that we have sufficient monies to be able to effect a purchase. So, anyway.
Just for
Yes.
clarification, this is about the bank next door, Newport Bank. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, update on County Road 75 West.
The culvert's been ordered, and it's going to be available, reportedly available anyway, in approximately a week. It may be 9 days, but sometime next week. Have to look at the calendar. Need confirmation on that. Bid documents have not prepared yet. We may delay the culvert, receipt of the culvert until the bid documents are available, or we'll have it delivered to site. 75 West remains closed.
Letter of support for state projects.
I would like for us to, well, we had a discussion with NDOT last, was it last?
2 weeks, sometime.
Which was a very, very positive meeting with them. And from that, we were able to garner, and actually I think RJ he elaborate on this, on some of the improvements that we can expect to see coming forward that they'd actually made a commitment at that point in time in our meeting. So that was, I think, very favorable.
Yeah, so State Road 63 and 234, they heard a lot of our concerns that we had in our county. I think they committed to installing some new lights at 63 and 234 to help with lighting at night. They also, I believe, Tim, this is down at 36. They confirmed to put there's a new painting on the entrance and exit ramps.
There's some of those
And some
ramps that are
signage.
right beside each other. When you come up and you get a lot of fog, you could actually go in the wrong lane. And so we talked to them about planting on there wrong way, and there's a lot of fog there. And I thought, well, this might be something to save someone's life, and it made a lot of sense. So I guess they're going to do it.
Yeah, so they committed to those two things that I know of, and they also asked about our concerns on some of our county roads entering state roads, whether that be on State Road 136, 36, 163. And I do believe, as long as we keep coordinating with them and with these letters here, sending them, that we do support NDOT making these improvements in our county.
One addition to that is Compton Hill. There's going to be major improvements made to that, and we're in the process of those, providing our input into it, and then also it'll be something similar to happening up there at 130 or 234. 234, yeah. Anyway, and then the SKUs, we've got a number of different county roads that are accessing state highway. They're all at an oblique angle, which makes it difficult for people to, one, see, and two, to just notice that somebody is coming from a different direction. So the state's not actually committed to that, but it's under review right now, and it appears that they will probably agree with some interchange differences at the county roads. And there's 3 or 4 of them anyway that we're interested in doing.
This is the second meeting we've had with the state, and I think it's very important that we develop that relationship with the state, and I feel it's very productive each time we've had them, and they're very receptive to us, and I think that's important in government, is have government working with government. And we also talked about the Cayuga, when they're going to take the overpass out, and work with them about possibly providing a tunnel through there eventually for a trail. So they're working with that and so on. That's that also. So a lot of good things going with the state.
And to add on to that a little bit, we get along very well with the Crawfordsville district. They've just been wonderful to work with. But we're looking at the possibility of gaining the millings that are on basically between Terre Haute and 163, I guess it is. On the northbound lane. That's up to the contractor, but in the future, whenever they're doing some of these other roads, hopefully we've requested, and we're going to entertain putting into contracts that we have first right of refusal on those millings. To add on to that, it appears that we should be able to, we've made 2 requests now and need to follow up with it, that will have the guardrail off that northbound lane that they're going to retire. It's not necessarily good enough for 60 mile an hour, but it's good enough. A lot of it's very good material that we can use on county roads, so we'll be able to obtain that material. And still waiting on a response on that, though.
Moving on, formal assignment ARP committee. What we're talking about forming a committee right now, what we have is 3 that we know is going to be on it. It's going to be Brenda Furry. Brenda Furry is the auditor. I will be on as president of commissioners, and Ashley James will be on as president of the council. So we're looking at did we decide on a 5-member board? Is that what we want to do?
5-member committee.
And so how do you want to go about the...
I would like to have this committee formalized by the next commissioners meeting, so I would encourage whether if you're a county employee or if you're somebody out in the public, to use our county website to apply. And by our next meeting, I'd like to make 2 more appointments, whether or not we have applications or we don't, but I would like to have that formalized by next meeting.
Would you explain what the ARP committee does? Or is going to do?
The ARP committee will be overseeing the money that's sent to us. We got to, I think 1.4, am I correct?
Like 1.3 and
1.3, 1.4 million that we already had received. I think in May of this year, we will receive the other portion of that. And this committee will make decisions, not really final decisions, but make recommendations to the council and to the commissioners of how this money is spent. So it's a good opportunity. I think we can do a lot with that money, but we value your input and would, if you want to be involved in that committee, please apply online. Any questions about that? Any questions? We do have some of that money right now pending. I think it was 680,000.
I think it was 700. I think they rounded it to 700
Okay.
to the broadband if Joint is awarded that broadband grant from the
So
state.
really, we haven't spent any of it.
No.
It's pending. If they don't get the grant, then we still have the money. So. Okay. COVID update, COVID hourly allowance end date.
Well, we done the health department update. This is the, I believe the 40 hours that the commissioners have re-upped, I think twice now within the last year. I do believe it's probably time to end the 40 hours. If there's any other commissioners that would be in agreement with that, I'd like to make a motion that we end the COVID 40 hours. I don't know if it needs to be effective tomorrow or how we go about ending that. But if we do, I do make a motion to end it effective tomorrow. Or maybe end of a pay period. I don't know if that
There you go.
pay period, we can do it effective end of Friday or start of next Monday.
Whatever the next pay period is, yeah.
That's fine, yeah. I'll amend my motion to that.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion.
When is that pay period in? Is it on, pay period's in when? On
This Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday,
Thursdays?
yeah.
Okay.
End of the day.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Format of set management plan, though, we do not have that right. That's not, we haven't received that yet.
We won't receive it till a week to 2 weeks from now. Still need to meet with them about the formatting of that database that they're going to provide. Also met with Clark Dietz yesterday. What is today? Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
Concerning the possibility of them participating in the, what would you call it? Dang on it. Prioritization of the roads and the costing of the structures and what needs to be done with those. After we find out what the database looks like, we'll entertain that. Plus, we may want to look at some other companies to help us or assist us with that process. That's all I have for the asset management plan.
About the application for DNDOT.
Thrive put in for a bulk number of traffic counts, not necessarily associated with any given county. And if we're interested in and I don't know which traffic counts they're doing for the county at this point, but if we're interested in doing more than what we had done last year, then we need to put our bid in, if you will, to increase that number of traffic counts that are being done. I believe this is paid, at least the base number is paid for by NDOT, but I'm not sure if we would have a cost if we would add to our base number. It kind of got the impression that we might. Hopefully we'll find out a little bit more about that, but if you know that we have traffic counts that we want to do in particular places, we need to give them that number or give them the addresses, intersections, or wherever it might be that we're doing this at.
You also go ahead and talk about your task force project.
Don't be too enthused. We had one person step up for task force Christmas or task force holidays, I guess it is. Ms. Penny has volunteered or was wanting to be on that task force. We didn't receive any other persons that were interested in that, and so I'd like to announce it again and see if we can't garner some interest on this. It's a high-paying job.
Leanne Smith said she would be interested as well.
Good. We're up to 2 now. So I'd like to have somewhere between 3 and 5 on the committee if possible. It is a volunteer position, and so if there is anybody interested, this be for the whole town's, actually the courthouse square here, and hopefully in coordination with the town of Newport. They do things here as well that we don't want to conflict with, or make sure that it marries in with what they're doing as well. So there's at least 2 positions open anyway, if someone's interested in participating with this, and I still owe you an idea list anyway. So it's on my desk somewhere underneath there. One other thing that we want to develop, but it's not on here. Did we want to discuss the ambulance?
Yeah, it's on the very bottom under M.
Is it? Well, then we'll wait. That's fine. I guess that's not necessarily a task force, is it?
Courthouse office and space allocation.
Yeah, with the proposition that we are going to have the building next door, the First Financial building, come into the fold, it's going to prompt us to look at the allocation of offices, resources, and so forth in the courthouse at our satellite locations as to what this will, how we want to develop the piece of property or the office space that's inside that. So depending on who's moving into that and how we're going to do that will cause it probably a little bit of a domino effect, however long or however short, as to what we're going to do as far as office space, how that is going to be configured, and then what other spaces does that open up, if any. So
We also had a study done
yes.
back when we started to gel on the courthouse. I'd like to pull that up and see what it is.
RQAW did a study some years ago. I don't know when. I think I have a copy of that. We do have a copy of the courthouse itself, the floor plan, if you will, of the courthouse. And I don't know what the study came up with as far as, I've not read the study, but there is something there from RQAW that was commissioned some years ago.
And I would add to the, like Britton said, with the courthouse office allocation, if there's any office holders or satellite locations that have storage needs or have ideas or think that they would be best fit for that bank location across the thing, I would encourage you to reach out to us with ideas or suggestions. I'm always open to listening to any office holders if they have concerns with office space.
I think it's going to be prudent of the office holders and or department heads to give an indication of the adequacy of what they have currently, and then if there is any suggestions as to how things can be improved, if you will, or if you're willing to move, or if you think you're solid where you're at, okay, whether you have sufficient space. So I think the input's going to be needed, or since you live in your spaces for the most part, so it might be helpful to know whether those living quarters are adequate or not.
Okay. Moving on to.
How do we want to handle that? Comments coming in.
I would suggest one of us sending out maybe a countywide email and then asking all the department heads and office holders to send a reply in. That way, because I think everyone's got a countywide email that way, and we can look at them that way.
Or send it to the auditor and then she can.
Does it? Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. If you could send something out to everybody and ask for their input.
You're gonna head that up then?
Yeah, I think Brenda's got the exact emails, but yeah, we can work together and make sure that gets sent out.
Okay.
Records handling storage.
Hand in hand with that, I think our surveyor has commented a number of times about the need for records and Ron, are you well versed in that at this point?
There's a room in the basement.
Well, I meant about requirements, needs, and so forth.
It depends on what the state archives
You
tell
can't
you.
come up,
Yeah.
please.
That's what I was hinting at. Come up here.
Walmack County Surveyor. It depends on what the state archives tell you as to what you have to keep for how long. Right now, like the surveyors, they have not determined, they hope to, within 2 years, determine how many documents you have to keep and for how long. So all that stuff I've got stacked in my office to the ceiling, maybe we can thin that out some. But if you go down in the basement, and anybody who works in the courthouse will tell you, they're doing the best they can, but it's stacked full. And so something needs to happen.
Yeah, I believe each county has like a commission to destroy records after a set of time.
I believe by statute you can assign a county archivist or whatever.
Yeah, I believe, because I believe Gracie York's, or the clerk is a part of that, I believe, off the top
But
of
there's
my
some
head.
rules and regulations depending on which department it is.
Yeah.
As to what records you keep and how long you keep them.
Yeah.
I think someone came in and
They did, the
took care of
treasurer's
some-
office did it here a few years ago, I was told, but other than that, I'm not sure. And I do know that the prosecutor has a locked room down there for court records and things.
But it's definitely something we probably need to prioritize here sooner than later.
I think I'd like to roll that into this courthouse reallocation as to some of that if we can. That may be a subcategory to it. But, we also have the rises. I don't know that we ever got a proposal back from them or if we even gave them a definitive answer as to what we would possibly need. But I think after we get done with this, we may want to look at the rise as far as the potential of being able to store.
I'd rather keep them here, to be truthful.
Well, that's sure. It's an alternative. It's just as long as it's organized and we can find things and that they're protected to some degree anyway, to a good degree. But if that's all right, we'll kind of
roll that in.
Add that as a
Work in progress. Consideration of ambulance committee.
Yeah, we talked about this, and I could be wrong, but I do believe the ambulance contract is up in 2023. So is it January 1st or is it December 31st? If it's December 31st, I'd like to put this off until later, but if it is the 1st, then I would like to, if you want to, or we can look later. I mean, it's up to you guys.
December 31st at midnight and January 1st?
Yeah, well, I mean, December 31st of 2023, instead of January 1st of 2023.
What?
So, yeah, that's what I mean. Is it the beginning of 2023 or is it the ending of?
I believe it's the beginning. January 1st is the new, either we...
Yeah, I'd just like to know for sure, because,
because
if it's the 1st, then I would like to look at making a 5-member committee and having recommendations sent to us and having that formalized.
So the 5 number is a good number?
Yeah, I like the 5 number. But if it's not until the end of 2023, then I would push it back a little bit later and not do the committee as...
Oh, no, it's done. Oh, we'll get it for sure. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Didn't mean to confuse you.
Yeah, it's not hard.
2023, so I'd say end.
Yeah, it's the end, Brendan, through 2023.
Oh.
So it's not the...
December of 2023?
Yeah, so then I would just
So
strike
we got-
that and I would just
we got 2
revisit
years.
this and just revisit this next year.
Okay.
But we were wrong because I thought that wasn't...
I'm sorry. I was a year off.
Brenton's usually ahead. He's ahead of stuff.
Wasn't there. I was ahead. Way ahead.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So we'll let that go.
Yep.
Do a public comment. I have a letter here that
Well,
would be...
wait a minute, though. I'm not sure. There's still a discussion going on. I don't know at what point we want to bring this forward, is the potential of the county owning the facilities in which we house the ambulances, whether it's at another building that we already have or a firehouse or a standalone. That's yet to be decided, or continue with what we're doing for that matter. But we need to address, I'd like to have that addressed this year before the budget comes in for 23. It will have a substantial influence on that budget depending on how those decisions come about.
Would you like to go ahead and form a committee for that?
I think so, and then it can carry on over into, well, it doesn't have to continue after that, but...
If that's the case, then I would like to do it the same as the, where are we at on here? The ARP committee. If I could, I'd like to have a 5-member committee by within the next 2 weeks, which may be tough to do, but if you're interested, apply via the county website, reach out to the county commissioner if you'd like to serve. And we'll hopefully have 5 members to appoint.
This will have an influence on the budget that we're proposing come June 1st, is it, that we have to have that ready by?
Mhm.
So,
Is there any appointments that,
I don't have anybody in particular.
Okay.
By next meeting, I'd like to be able to make that appointment,
Yeah.
though. We'll look
Okay.
into it, or at least a partial appointment.
Yeah.
okay. That'll be fine. Moving on, I have a letter here that I'll be sending out. We talked about having the state of the county address when he's here, not too far out, and we'd like to get it so it's be done once a year. What it will be, this year will be on the schedule for the March the 29th. That's what kind of date I have, and we can change that. I'm just recommending it. The letter will be going out to elected officials and department heads to give us contribute information to your office for the Commissioner State of the County address. This will be the first year for the event, which will occur March 29th. This is pending you guys' approval. And Commissioners meeting the next year, we'd like to have it scheduled toward the end of January, with reminder letters going out at the end of the year.
We will have we don't have a meeting on the 29th. We have the third or the last meeting of the
We
three.
don't have
Okay,
off.
okay.
Unless you want to have a special, or unless you
No.
want to do it at that
No,
time.
we'll just move it up to the next date, later date. This letter is just rough draft. I'm just, so we can look at it and tailor it, make it the way we want it, but
Yeah,
we are
I'm
looking
in
at-
agreement with it, just the date. Either do it next meeting or the.
So you're in agreement with
Yeah,
sending out a letter? I'll send it
yeah,
out to all you, and you all can approve it.
That's fine, I'm-
Edit it where you want
yeah,
to.
that's
but
fine.
I think it'd be a good thing to do, and then if we can, each year, we can chart our success or failures or something that
Yeah, that's
shows where
fine.
we're going as a county.
No failures.
Do I?
No failures.
No failures. So that will be coming out here in the next couple of days to all elected and department heads. Last, public comments. Anybody?
I will say at the, well, this is more kind of a commissioner's and a little bit of public. At last night's Vermillion Rise meeting, the Rise did give some clearance to have, so they're having a 5K and half marathon here coming up. And it was actually, Doug Hess kind of brought this up to me as well, about having a public mushroom hunt out at the Rise facility. And the Rise gave more or less the green light for myself to kind of pursue that a little bit and get some insurance agreements and get some things lined out. What I would like to ask the commissioners for some approval on is if we can get this scheduled, and they'd like to do it this year, is if we have to do a lottery system of people applying to participate in it, if we can utilize the county website to do that on a application process.
Great.
Okay.
I'd love to see the county website used.
All right, I just want to run that by you guys.
Yeah.
But for the public, if that event does happen, it will be open to the public, and there's talks of maybe doing a donation to the Humane Shelter, and the Rise is talking about potentially utilizing 200 to 300 acres for the community to use, but it may be restricted depending on insurance, because insurance does have a lot of hoops to jump through out of there.
Is this a festival or is this a hunt?
I believe it's going to be a hunt, but there's a lot of hoops that I learned last night via RTI's insurance that was there, so, or insurance representative anyway. So that's all I have for public comment.
Anybody else, your time to speak? Come on.
Ron Mack, County Surveyor. Two things you guys talked about tonight. One was working with NDOT. The North Vermillion School Corporation and the parents and the PTA for years have been arguing with NDOT about cleaning up that intersection going in and out of the high school. That needs to be done. Not only is it a hazard for the school buses going in and out, but it's just heavily infested with invasive and noxious weed species that the NDOT's required to treat, and they have never done it.
Okay.
Is that just south of the school, Ron?
Yeah, right where you go into the high
Where
school.
that sign is that says planted by NDOT
The,
like
uh,
2003? NDOT.
The history I'm told is that was put there by some sort of a grant
Okay.
for be a natural whatever.
Mhm.
And a student group was supposed to maintain it,
Yeah, never.
and it's never happened.
Okay.
So it's really a safety hazard going in and out of high school. The other thing that you talked about, and I've mentioned this in my monthly report, is that I've been in conversation with many county surveyors across the state. And the broadband cables going in and down along the county roads is a real problem. There's a lot of statutes, a lot of court rulings where the county does not own the right-of-ways. And that, even the Indiana State Supreme Court says that. That's something you really need to address.
Okay.
The other issues is I've gotten numerous complaints where they've torn up tile in the fields. They've gone onto private property without any easement rights, any assessment. In fact, the Indiana Farm Bureau attorney in Indianapolis says that technically the county has to lease the right-of-way to the utility companies. Then the utility companies have to turn around and lease access to the broadband companies to bury their cables. That's the legal way to handle it. And I know I've been bringing this up, but it's something that as time goes on, some poor schmuck running a road grader for the county is going to hook one of them cables, and then who's going to pay for the cable?
Yeah.
Terribly expensive. One farmer told me that they went out in his field and only buried the cable 18 inches. First time he goes through there with a subsoiler, that cable's gone.
Right.
So
Do
it
you-
really, really needs to be addressed.
Do you have a copy of all the complaints that we could put together and
Yeah, I've got
would-
some.
would act on them?
Matter of fact, one of the fellows said that where they couldn't get to the ditch, they went out into the road surface down by his house and put the cable in.
Yeah, I would encourage him to take
So-
pictures, document it, and report it,
So-
because I know, like, with anything for us, you know, if we don't know about it, it's hard for us to. But I have heard things, I know in the south
Yeah.
end with some bus drivers at South Vermillion, they've told me some
In
stories.
Montgomery
that-
County, some private landowners even stopped it because there was no legal access to the right-of-ways filed with the court. So it's just something you guys got to get a handle on, get out in front of it, or it's gonna,
Okay.
sooner or later, it's gonna bite us in the rear end.
Earlier this year, we have a draft of driveway permits and right-of-way permits, of which hasn't been acted on yet. Do you have language available to you, or that you have for use of a right-of-way?
I could probably find some.
Or let us provide you with ours, and if you can measure that out with some of the other counties.
Yeah.
We've never acted on it yet, I know of. It's
Yeah.
still
The surveyor at
pending.
Hampton County is just jumping up and down because they're bringing in contractors to do the work. The actual internet company is not the one doing the cable. They're bringing contractors in to do that work, and they're just having a really, really bad time.
A couple of things that are possibly changing. We're looking at the highway issues here of changing how our highway works, but also with that, we've got some issues, I guess, in letting these permits and so forth. Basically, we've been putting the burden, or I have been putting the burden on the companies to decide where that easement's at, if they have to confirm the easement as opposed to the county confirming that. Whether they get on other property or not, I'm not sure what the legal basis is, and that we
What-
maybe
in-
have a discussion about this.
In the original county road petition books, there are very few that include the right-of-ways.
You know, my point being is I don't know what actions the county can take if it's not in our right-of-way. So if it goes on to private property, it is on the onus of the private property owner to take action, or is it, how does the county interface with that?
I don't know, that's why I'm bringing it to you guys.
We got a meeting
I think that's
coming
my
up,
point,
right?
is the county doesn't.
March the 9th.
March 9th.
Yeah.
I'll be at that meeting.
Okay.
Anyway,
Thank you.
we work together on some of that.
I do want to say I appreciate Ron Mack and what he's done. He's worked very, very hard at his position, and he's done a lot. And I want to say thank you and commend him for that. So, anything else? Anybody else before we close this meeting? Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.